It's getting to that time of year where we're spending time outside around the garden doing landscaping, and so I needed a kneeling pad because my knees were killing me working on plants and things like that. But kneeling pads themselves were costing anywhere from $7 to $10, which is crazy. So I decided I could make something better myself. So I've come up with this gardening bucket / craft bucket. It's got all sorts of great features. Here you go. A kneeling pad, but it's also a chair. I have a tool tote that I made out of recycled materials. Reinforced the handle, and you can still use the bucket for water, dirt, whatever you want. Oh, and a couple bonus things. A watering can made out of 1 or 2 liter bottle, and a scoop / funnel. All for under $10, and if you're scrappy and you have some things on hand, probably more like $5. Interested? Here we go. For the seat / knee guard, you need a lid. I'm using a paper plate for an outline, a sharp pointed permanent marker, and one of these pads you can get like at a Five Below or a dollar store. Just one of those workout pads. So if you really wanted to, you could get 4 of these circles out of here. Just putting it together with some double stick carpet tape. So I took the paper plate, put it on here, and then just used the marker and made an outline. Then I used a sharp, in this case a thin box cutter, and just went around here like this. And I get 1, I get 2. After I did the paper plate first, then I came out and used this to trace the second and third outline so that it would exactly match this shape. It's not a laser cut, it's a hand cut, so there's going to be a little variation. And then what I did is I just put some hash marks on there, lined it up, and then I'm putting the 2 smooth sides together in the sandwich, and then those will go on top like this. You can buy knee guards that are just the foam. The reason why you're using a knee guard is because it's a rough surface. It could be rock or roots or anything, and it hurts your knees. So that's why I came up with the seat and then using this plastic guard to just sit down on the ground no matter what the surface is, and that will protect this and it will protect your knees, because eventually if you just go with something like this, it's going to wear out pretty quickly depending on what your yard is and how much gardening or work around the house you're doing. Okay, I've laid down the double-sided tape, and all I do is just kind of bring this across, use the box cutter, and just trim off. And if you have a little extra here, carefully run it along the line, and then you can usually peel it up. A couple places here where you have the middle. So what I did is I just took a piece of tape, and I figured out how long I made it, and I just cut a line here, and then just took the box cutter and went all the way across here to make 2 strips, 1 for each side, and just pull them off like this, and then just lay them in the middle. Make sure it's all down, and then you can adjust this one fairly easily. You just pull up on it and put it back in place. This one, I think you can adjust. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, you can adjust it a little bit, but you have to be a little more careful. So here's your sandwich. Come in here like this. Just trim it off like that. It's pretty easy. Like this. All right, I've peeled the backings off of both. I'm ready to go. Okay, so you can just kind of line it up here. Press down. And those 2 pieces are together. And then it just doesn't matter. You just want to try to center it as best as possible. There. Now you got your knee guard, knee pad. Goes on the ground, and you got a great seat cushion for the top of the bucket. So now I'll show you how I made this handy dandy tool caddy that sits inside the bucket. The whole idea of taking that out is that you can use the bucket for water, dirt, whatever it is, and sometimes you just want your tools more readily available by your side instead of reaching inside the bucket itself, especially if you're sitting on the bucket as a chair. So let's go to an overhead shot and I'll show you how I made this. Here's what you need for this build right here. 4 2-liter bottles, some sort of tape. This is to melt the ends of the paracord, which is 325 paracord. You need 8 4-inch cable ties, some double-sided tape, some sort of cutter, a pen for the handle, a ruler, and a marker, and a drill to make some holes. There's a line on pretty much all of these 2-liter bottles at the bottom, and I used that as a reference point. With the marker, I came around and I just marked 6 inches all the way around here. Now, if you're really good and you put enough of those marks, you don't even need this tape, but I like the tape as a guide. It also kind of gives me a stop so that I'm not cutting through the bottle. Now, there's a whole bunch of different approaches. You can use the box cutter. I find that if I just do this to start out the scissors, it's a little smoother and safer to go with the scissors. And I just come around here like this, get right to that line, and that should give you a relatively nice top. And if you have to do some trimming, finalizing, then there you go. But the tape really helps you out with that. Once you're happy with the top, then I just went through and you'll find there's 2 seams on the bottle. So just pick one, and then I lined up with this bottom line, and I made marks at 1 inch, 4 inches, and 6 inches. So this is where we're going to put the cable ties at 1 and 4, and at 5 is going to be where the paracord is. So I used a drill bit that was big enough for both the cable tie and the paracord, and then I bring a 2x4 in, slide it inside here because it gives you something good to drill against, and drill the holes like that. Do that 4 times, and then what you're going to do is take the double-sided tape. You put a little bit of a tail on the top. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to put all 4 of the bottles back in the bucket. You offset them by 90 degrees. So when you tape the bottles together like this, you'll have a reference point for the 90-degree holes. Now, I guess you could do the math and just kind of eyeball it, but I found you can get really dead on using this technique that I developed. Just stick it to the bottle like that. And you can imagine these all 4 are together. Mark where the holes are. You can imagine that you got it here, taped to this one. This one's taped to this one. This one's taped to this one. This one's taped to this one. And then you just kind of fold it over like this and carefully take your bottles apart. And now you have the place where you need to drill the 90-degree holes. And you drill those holes. And then you can take the tape off. The next thing you're going to do is attach the bottles with the cable ties. So all you do is you run 1 cable tie through both holes, and you want the second one down. Then you take another cable tie and zip them together like that. Get them as tight as you can, and then you come in here and just use some scissors, or I love this flush cut tool because it gets it really close like that. And do that all the way around until you have all 8 of them done. Now, for the handle, you're just using 2 12-inch long, in this case 325 paracord. You could use 100-pound paracord. So I'm using a clear piece of vinyl tubing, but you can just as easily just cut this off. They have the same diameter. And then I always like to finish the ends with a lighter so that they're not going to fray. So you line them together like this and run them through the middle of the tube. That guy is 2.5 inches long. Just run these all through the top hole. Make sure the knots are tight, and then you've got a great handle for your tote. And this can carry a lot of weight. For this funnel/scoop, all I did is cut a 2-liter bottle on the diagonal, then trimmed it off to make it a little more elliptical, oval shape, egg shape, whatever you want to call it. Made some holes in the end with the same drill that I made the holes on the tool caddy. This is just a scrap piece of 1-inch Schedule 20 PVC. Put some tape on it. And then I put some tape around the ends here to kind of reinforce it a little bit. It's just black electrical tape here. And now you've got a great scoop to include in your kit. Then for the handle, because I'm never really happy with those small thin handles, I just took a piece of, in this case, nylon tubing, but you could use duct tape, wrap that around, Then I just split a piece of old garden hose and put that on top, and then I probably could wrap this with duct tape so that I have a much more comfortable handle when I'm carrying this thing around. And here it is with a couple rounds of black duct tape just to keep it in place. Thumbs up and comments, always appreciated. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in gardening tips, home repairs, designs of all kinds, sports designs, I even do costumes and props, check out my channel and please subscribe, because you never know what you're gonna see.